Happy Thursday, everybody. How are we doing today? Hope we are doing well. Okay, so here's what we're going to do today. So, here in this Ed Puzzle video, you are going to watch this lesson that I am going to be giving you on the wedding feast at Cana. Okay, I'm going to do, we're going to look at the book. We're going to look at some things in the book. And then what I'll do is I'll put notes up and I'll instruct you guys to just pause the video. And that way you can copy them down, the notes, okay? So you can split screen your iPad when that time comes. Okay, we'll go through it as we go through the lesson. I'll make all of that known to you. Also, don't forget that tomorrow you guys will have a quiz on sections 17 through 19. Okay, so that's going to be on everything that we've done this week. And that will be your quiz tomorrow. It's going to be, let me add this in while I'm telling you. It's going to be 20 questions. Okay, and it's going to be matching quotes, multiple choice, and true and false. Okay, so that will be your quiz tomorrow. All that will be in Schoology as a reminder, but I just wanted to tell you here. Okay, all right, let's get into our lesson. Alrighty, so here we are. We're going to move into section 19 in your book. All right, so I'll give you a second to, open that, split screen it with what we're doing. This is page 69. Okay, and we're going to read the wedding at Cana. All right, so this is John's Gospel. All right, first thing to pay attention to there is this is John's Gospel. All right, and we're in chapter 2. So John chapter 2 verse 1 begins, "On the third day, there was a wedding in Cana in Galilee, and the mother of Jesus was there." All right, that sentence alone, we need to stop because there's just so much. First of all, something just to kind of look at before we really break the sentence down is that the wedding takes place in the northern region of Galilee. Okay, so that's something definitely to just kind of know where Jesus is. Let's look at this first sentence right here. Or I should say this first part of this sentence here where it says on the third day. Okay, if you look down here at this green box, okay, that explains to you a little bit more about what the third day means. So the third day is not just Tuesday if you do Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. It's not Wednesday, whatever, okay? Chronologically, it refers to the third day since Jesus met Nathanael. So remember the other day we talked about how Jesus meets Nathanael under the fig tree? That's the Gospel of John. So now John is saying 3 days since he met Nathanael, now this happens. All right, so all of these John Gospels now are being connected. But now there's also a really important theological element here too. And if you look again in this green box, the third day, and this is going to get a little weird, so just listen closely. The third day is actually the 7th day of Jesus's opening week of ministry. So I believe that means that it would be, if we're going by the Jewish calendar, which Saturday was the first day of the week, this would be Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, which means that he would have met Nathanael on a Tuesday. Okay, so, but the whole purpose here is that the third day is the 7th day of Jesus's opening week ministry. Now, why do I say it's Saturday? Because John is connecting the idea of creation in 7 days, okay, and Jesus performing this miracle on the 7th day to the idea of creation in 7 days, okay, and 7 days, God resting on that 7th day, okay. So in this, we see that Jesus is the new creation, okay. That's what he is here. And the second thing that we see here by this on the third day is that Jesus here on the third day is manifesting himself. This is going to be Jesus's first public miracle. This is the story where Jesus is going to start his mission. Okay? So when he does this, he's setting himself on the path of what his life is going to be. And just as how on this third day he does it here, he's going to also, we know, reveal his glory on the third day on Easter Sunday. Okay, so those things are all connected together here. Okay, so that's on the third day. We know there was a wedding in Cana in Galilee. We talked about where that was. And the mother of Jesus was there. Okay, that's also super important to look at as well. All right, so what that's indicating is, obviously we know it's Mary, but if you look up here at this orange box up here on the top, Mary is never named in John's gospel by name. It's always going to be the mother of Jesus. Similarly to how John never names himself, but calls himself the disciple whom Jesus loved, Mary is never going to name herself here either. Okay, so what this is doing is, it's not saying that Jesus doesn't have a mother, but rather it's showing, because remember the theme of John's gospel is that Jesus is divine. Okay, so that's kind of what John is trying to delineate there, okay, to show that he is divine. Okay, so let's keep going. So now we look at verse 2. Jesus and his disciples were also invited to the wedding. When the wine ran short, the mother of Jesus said to him, "Son, they have no wine." Okay, we're going to stop right here just for a second to kind of talk about what's going on here. If you look over in the commentary, all right, over here, where I just put that little red dot. So at this time, weddings were not just like a single day kind of thing. Rather, they lasted several days. All right, we talked about that, if you remember. I don't know if you think back to the marriage of Jacob to Leah and Rachel. Like, it was a whole big thing, okay? So the family that threw the wedding was responsible for the hospitality of their guests. You had to make sure there was enough food, there was enough drink. Everyone was like really reliant on this being a good party. Okay, I mean, even today, like, I've been to weddings that I can say, oh, this is a great wedding. I've been to weddings that I've said, oh, it was okay, you know, it was all right. But why? You know, did the food have anything to do with it? Did the drink? Well, here in this time, when the party would have run out of wine, this to the guests would have been seen as a sign of disrespect towards them. And therefore, it would have been an embarrassment to the couple. So the fact that they have run out of wine, it is not good. Okay, it's bad. And Mary sees this, and Mary recognizes, oh my gosh, my son can do something about this. So she approaches Jesus and she says to him super calmly, "Son, they have no wine." Okay, like she just brings her problem to Jesus, knowing that he can fix this. So in verse 4, Jesus says to her, "Woman, how does your concern affect me? My hour has not yet come." Okay, so let's stop here for a second. I wish that I could be in class with you right now to do this to do this part, and here's why. Guys, what would happen if you came home and said to your mother, "Woman, I want a sandwich"? And I feel like we've talked about this before. You know, and I've had students in the past say to me, like, "Oh my goodness, I would have totally gotten like slapped upside the head." So yes, there is that. But understand that Jesus is not calling his mother for this reason. So the use of the word woman is not disrespectful. Look over here. Where's my Apple Pencil? Here it is. And let me get my pen. We're good. Okay, look over here at this box. So the whole use of this word woman, remember the proto-evangelium in Genesis 3:15, okay, where God promised a future redeemer, the seed of the woman. So the woman here is Mary, okay? It's not being disrespectful, because this woman from 3:15 is now having a seed, and that seed is Jesus. And the woman is now standing there next to the seed, okay, at Cana. Now, the seed we know is going to have to fall to the ground and die and resurrect to new life. Now, the moment the hour began, Mary becomes the woman. Now, what hour? Here, where Jesus says to her, my hour has not yet come. What does that mean? So, in this whole statement here, Jesus says to her, woman, okay, not nastily, but tying it to the proto-evangelium, how does your concern affect me? Now, even that sentence could sound snippy, but it's not. Jesus is saying, like, Mom, like, we've got it going right now. Like, are you sure? Like, you seem worried about this and you want me to do something, but are you sure you want me to? And then he says, my hour has not yet come. My hour that I now am going to be the Messiah, it hasn't started yet, but it's going to right now if I do this. Basically, he's saying, like, Mom, you have me do this, and this is now, I am now on the path to my crucifixion. So it truly is going to be Mary that's going to put him on the path to his death or crucifixion and death, I should say. So right now at this hour, Mary becomes the woman. And then either furthermore, she's going to become the woman even more at that hour when he dies. Okay, so we're going to see 2 times that Jesus calls her woman, one here, one at the cross, and they completely are tied together. The idea that Jesus is this new Adam, that he redeems humanity, that he is able to do what Adam wasn't, and he was able to save us. Okay, so big sentence there too. So now in verse 5, Mary basically acknowledges what Jesus is saying and is like, no, yeah, you're going to go do this. So she says to him, do whatever he tells you. And that is I wonder if that actually turned. You'll have to tell me. Do whatever he tells you. That's a huge statement. And we'll talk about that a little bit in a minute. Okay, because on the next page, there's a good pop-up about that. Okay, so now what happens? So now there were 6 stone water jars there for Jewish ceremonial washings, each holding 20 to 30 gallons. Jesus told them, fill the jars with water. So they filled them to the brim. Just pause for a second there. We've talked about how detailed John's gospel is. When he says at 4:00 in the afternoon, even notice here, he tells us exactly how many water jars there were, how many gallons each water jar held, and how much they fill them. So guys, we really can see that John was right there, okay, because he is giving us a very, very detailed description. So Jesus says to them in verse 8, draw some out now and take it to the head waiter. So they took it, and when the head waiter tasted the water that had become wine, without knowing where it came from, although the servers who had drawn the water knew, the head waiter called the bridegroom and said to him, everyone serves good wine first, and then, when people have drunk freely, an inferior one. But you have kept the good wine until now. Jesus did this as the beginning of his signs in Cana in Galilee, and so revealed his glory, and his disciples began to believe in him. After this, he and his mother, his brothers, and his disciples went down to Capernaum and stayed there only a few days. So this story has a lot of so much importance, okay? Basically, the idea that we really need to get here, as what we just talked about, is that Mary is going to be the one who's going to start Jesus on his path to his crucifixion, okay? It's Mary that brings him into the world, and it's Mary that sets him on his path. All right, let's go to the next page. Okay, so now looking at our next page here. We look at the top of the page and this blue box, all right? And this is going to talk to us about that whole idea that I talked to you about with do whatever he tells you. This is a really wonderful statement, and it's a favorite gospel for Blessed Chaminade and the Marianists. And that's do whatever he tells you. We too should do whatever he tells us. And we should listen to Mary's guidance here. And this is kind of like a WWJD kind of thing, that like we have to trust that Jesus knows what's best for us. Okay? When Mary tells the servers to do whatever he tells you, she doesn't know what that means fully, but she trusts him. And she knows that the couple was in need of help, and she knows that Jesus can do that. And we too, can recognize that Jesus needs our help, or I should say that we need our help, and Jesus is there to help us. Okay, so in this yellow box here, you see the 7 signs of Jesus's divinity, where we're going to see 7 miracles of Jesus through John's gospel. We'll talk about those as we go through. And then over here on this orange box, remember I said on the last slide that there's only 2 times that Jesus calls his mother Mary. And that's going to be here, that he calls his mother woman. And the first one was here at the wedding at Cana. And then the second one is going to be from the cross. Well, similarly, there are going to only really be 2 times in Jesus's life that he's going to be reluctant to take on suffering. Here was the first time, all right, where he's saying to Mary, are you sure you want me to do this? Like, we do this, this is it, we're done. And then the second time is going to also be at the Triduum on Holy Thursday, where in the, at Golgotha and also in the Garden of Gethsemane, Jesus is going to ask God, his Father, not to take away the suffering, or to take it away, I should say, and then say, not thy will, not my will, but thine be done. Okay, so here too, both times he's kind of saying like, are we sure this is what we want to do? Okay, this is what we want to do. This is what we've got to do. All right. Okay, so that's what we're going to have for our book. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start to put the slides of notes up. I'm going to talk about them, and then you're going to pause the video. I'm not going to give you guys like dead air to just copy. Rather, I'm going to have you guys pause the video and copy the note. But what I will do is I'll put the note up and just explain things to you. Okay, so let's look at our notes. So we see here that Mary presents the problem to Jesus in total faith. Son, they have no wine. The party depended on wine, and there was no wine. And Mary knows that Jesus can fix this. Jesus answers her by saying, woman, my hour has not yet come. Now, remember what we spoke about a few minutes ago, that this use of the word woman, all right, refers back to the proto-evangelium. Okay, it's not Jesus being rude. And also, it's going to point us forward to the Passion. And then, when Jesus says this to Mary, saying to Mary again, are you sure we're doing this? Mary says, do whatever he tells you. Now, these are the last recorded words of Mary. That doesn't mean that Mary's not there anymore. It just means we don't hear her speak anymore. Okay, Mary's there with Jesus. Mary's alongside him, but we just don't hear anything further from her. And that's okay. That's not a problem. Okay, Mary's done what she needed to do in setting him on this path. Okay, so she's good. But she will be with him. All right, so Jesus turns that water into wine. We see that the wine is far superior to the original. And this is going to be Jesus's first public miracle. Okay, and his first public miracle is brought about by the obedience to his mother. So he is obedient to his mother, who was obedient to the Holy Spirit at that Annunciation when the angel Gabriel came to her. Okay, so we see how all of this ties together. Okay, so now what I want you to do is pause this video, copy the notes, and then we'll go to the next slide when you are ready. All right, next slide. Okay, so this miracle would have been improbable. Why? Because nothing like this would have happened before. I don't even think that the disciples and the apostles and would have really even had any like knowledge of what was about to happen. So by nightfall, this would have been known all over the area. I mean, my goodness, guys, think about what happens at Kellenberg. Someone like spills a water bottle in the hallway and like the whole school knows in like 7 seconds. Okay, so imagine this. Okay, this would have been known very quickly by nightfall. And at this moment, the seed of the woman, and remember that woman is Mary, okay, had begun to crush the head of Satan. And they both knew it. Both who? Jesus and Satan. Okay, they know it's happening. So that proto-evangelium is being fulfilled. Guys, remember that whole purpose of what we started our year with, the fact that yes, Adam and Eve sin, and yes, that they fall, and all of that, but God has a plan. It's starting here. It's so beautiful. Okay, it's so, so beautiful. So just don't forget that the woman is Mary, and this seed now is Jesus. Okay? And so this proto-evangelium, Mary has now set Jesus on the road to the passion and therefore on the journey to his crucifixion. Okay? And we keep talking about this. All right. So again, you pause your video, copy the notes. When you're done, push play. Okay. And our last slide of notes. All right, so our last slide of notes here talks about the date at which things are happening. I don't know if you can hear that. That is my dog in the background. So hold on, I'm going to pause this for a second so that way I can calm her down. Okay, she's now sitting with me. Let's see how this goes. All right, so when did this take place? So remember we talked about how this miracle takes place on the 7th day of Jesus's opening week ministry. And remember that there are 2 elements to that. Okay? And that first one is that Jesus is the new creation. All right? Because this is taking place on the 7th day. All right, so Jesus having this miracle on the 7th day makes him that new creation. And also, remember that it's 3 days since Nathaniel. All right. But remember that 3 days shows us like the Triduum and the resurrection and how Jesus will manifest himself on Easter Sunday on that 3rd day. Okay. So there's those 3 elements there too. Okay. So now what you can do is again, pause the video, copy your notes, and then when you're all done, you're good for today. Okay. Do not forget that you have a quiz tomorrow. Okay. And your quiz tomorrow is going to be on sections 17, 18, and 19, 20 questions, formats in Schoology. Okay. I hope that you guys have a wonderful Thursday. I hope that if you've already gone to Mass was beautiful. Oh no, everyone's going before first period. So yes. So I hope that Mass was great. I hope that it was a beautiful Mass. And I will see you guys on Tuesday. Remember, you're off on Monday. And tomorrow, no video. So you won't get to hear my sweet melodious voice tomorrow. All right, guys, have a great day. And I will see you when I see you. Bye.